If you've been following my channel, you may have noticed that I put a poll up recently about ultrasonic cleaners, and I asked how many of you use an ultrasonic cleaner. And surprise to me was to find out that 37% of you said you have and use or have used an ultrasonic cleaner to clean bicycle parts. That's a pretty big number, and I think that the reason for it is that ultrasonic cleaners have come way down in price, down to like $60 or thereabouts for a really small one, up to maybe $250 around there for a big one like this one. And I think the lower price is one factor, but I think another big factor is that a lot of people are waxing their chains now. And to wax a chain, you have to start with a really clean chain. And one of the easiest ways to clean a chain like that, supposedly, is with an ultrasonic cleaner. So I was happy that Vevor reached out to me recently and asked if I would like to test one of their 22-liter industrial ultrasonic cleaners, which I have right here. And it's a beautiful piece of equipment. I haven't used it yet. We're going to use it today in this video. But it's stainless steel construction. It's oversized, has a huge basket. You can fit it's like a complete drivetrain. You can fit a whole bunch of chains in here, and even a full crank set. We're going to clean a bunch of parts in it. It has a drain on the side to drain the tank. It has a ball valve, and it's a nice piece. It weighs 21 pounds. So it's heavy duty. It's got 480 watts of ultrasonic power, 600 watts of heating power, plus its 40 kilohertz ultrasonic frequency creates millions of microscopic bubbles to powerfully clean even the most complicated parts. And it's got a digital display on the front to set things, and it'll heat up to 80 Celsius. So it's a powerful unit. I'm going to look forward to trying it here. We'll clean some parts and we'll see how it works. Before we get to that, I want to mention a couple more things. Vevor has kindly provided a discount code for this ultrasonic cleaner here. There'll be a link to that in the description. You'll get a discount if you use it. Thank you, Vevor. The other thing is, I couldn't begin to explain fully how an ultrasonic cleaner works, but I found a great animated online instruction about how ultrasonic cleaners work. It's quite long but very interesting. I'll put a link to that in the description too. And also, there's some concern with ultrasonic cleaners how they handle aluminum bicycle parts. An awful lot of bicycle parts are aluminum, most of them. And there is a chance that an ultrasonic cleaner, if used improperly, could affect those parts, like stripping the anodization or pitting the aluminum. So I looked that up online and I found a pretty good document that talks about how to clean aluminum safely. I'll put that link in the description too. Luckily, I have a friend's bike that I'm overhauling. It's from the 90s. So it has some really worn parts. He didn't clean it very often. So I could throw these parts away and replace them, but I'm going to clean them up as a test for the ultrasonic cleaner. So the chain and the freewheel came off that bike, and also the crankset. That's a triple crankset, so there's a lot of nooks and crannies in a triple crankset. Be fun to see if it gets that clean. And then I took a pulley off the rear derail. That's a plastic component. And I have a cassette. So we'll check out a cassette. And there's also a bottom bracket bearing cup with the bearing in there. And the bearing is pretty much frozen, doesn't turn much anymore. We'll see if I can loosen that bearing up and clean it out. And that's also anodized, that cup, so we'll see if the anodization changes. All right, I've got the tank filled up with water to the fill line. This is distilled water, which they recommend for ultrasonic cleaners. The on-off switch is actually on the back of the unit. I'll reach back here and turn it on. And it's set to 52 Celsius. I actually want that to be a little less, I think. So I'll go 40. Since maximum is 80, that's halfway. We'll just try that. It looks like it auto set it at 10 minutes. I'm going to let it heat up first. You saw how greasy and grimy the parts are. The problem with just throwing them in the basket in the tank and cleaning them that way is it's going to make the inside of the tank a mess. All that grit and grime will get on the tank, and then you'll have to clean it out of the tank. So basically, you save the time cleaning the parts, but then you got to clean the tank. So to prevent that, I'm going to take the parts and put them in containers and put the containers in the ultrasonic cleaner, which has been shown by a lot of other people who use ultrasonic cleaners to work just as well as if it was the tank on its own. I put the chain in a glass jar, which is supposed to work even better than plastic. And then I've got the cup and the pulley in a plastic cup, and then the other 3 items are going to be in a plastic bag, sort of like a sous vide bed for cooking. And then I'm going to pour on these parts in the containers is mineral spirits, which is just about as strong as gasoline, a really good parts cleaner, and cheap too. While I'm waiting for the ultrasonic cleaner to warm up, it's at about 30 degrees now, 10 more degrees to go. I put the parts inside the plastic bags or the plastic container there, or the glass jar, and you can see that the solvent I poured inside with the parts is already working to loosen the grit on this stuff, so that'll help. Wasn't easy getting the solvent in there without making a bit of a mess, but it evaporates pretty quickly and is not that hard to wipe up the drips. We hit 40 degrees, so I'm now going to change the timer to 20 minutes. And I think I'll put in the chain first. And we'll turn it on and see what happens. So there's a fan running. You can hear that when I first turned it on. Now you can hear the buzzing. Let's see if we could see something happen inside there. So that's 20 minutes. I think I'll turn this off. Well, it's a lot cleaner. And I'd like to see if we could get it even cleaner. I'm going to put it in for another 20 minutes. That's another 20 minutes, so 40 minutes total. Let's see what it looks like now. I spent about 5 minutes scrubbing it with a rag to get the links dry and to get any more grit off. And it came out really nice. So that's what 40 minutes and the ultrasonic cleaner will do to a really disgusting chain. Pretty impressive. And a lot easier to just let it sit in there and wait, and then just have to wipe it down with a rag to end up with a really clean chain. So I'm going to put all the other parts in together and see how it works. I'm going to just go ahead and set the time at 40 minutes since actually the maximum you can go is 30 minutes. So I'll do 30 minutes. If that doesn't work, I'll add another 10 minutes. I'm going to go with those 2 items for now. So the crankset and cassette are done. So let's see how that came out. With this method, you got the parts inside the bag and the solvents in there, the mineral spirits. So I got to get that out of there, and I'm just going to remove the parts and then dump it into the container that the chain was cleaned in, since that already has that in it. You can see how the crank came out. I'll have to wipe it off. But it cleaned it pretty nicely. So that's just sitting on top. Could probably rinse that off with a hose and water. Let me do that. I'll take it outside and blast it with a hose and see what it looks like when I bring it back in. So I sprayed the crank with water to get the residue from the solvent off. And while I was doing that, I put in the freewheel, the pulley, and the cup. And I let those sit in there for 40 minutes too. And look at the result. The freewheel came out amazingly clean compared to how it went in. And the crank is really impressive too. I did wipe them off. I got the water spots off. The one thing that didn't come out so good is the cassette. And that was a heavily used cassette. So I think you'd have to put that in for more time. I could scrub it, work on it a little more by hand and clean it up, no problem. If you didn't want to put that handwork in, I think just a little more time would get it cleaner. The chain is looking good. The discoloration you see on that chain is corrosion, it's not dirt. Interesting too that the anodization wasn't affected by the heating of the solvent or the water tank. The ultrasonic cleaner didn't seem to do any damage to it at all. Overall, I think the results are quite impressive. Still took a little wiping, spraying with water, so there's a process. But it's nowhere near as tough as standing over a solvent tank, scrubbing with a brush, rinsing, blasting with a compressed air, the typical way you do it if you don't have a high-tech tool like an ultrasonic cleaner. Since the most common use of an ultrasonic cleaner is cleaning chains, and even smaller ultrasonic cleaners can do this, I want to clean a modern chain so you can see the before and after. This chain has been lubed multiple times with wax-based lubes and it's a mess now. For this cleaning, I raised the temperature to 60 degrees Celsius, which is 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Check out the heat inside now. Like I did with the other chain, after it came out, I rinsed it with water and wiped it dry with a rag. I'm very happy with how it came out. The whole reason to use a high-tech cleaner like this is to end up with a super clean chain, because all chain lubes, and especially wax lubes, work best when the chain's immaculate, like this one is now. I don't know about you, but I thought that was a lot of fun, testing the ultrasonic cleaner and cleaning these parts. Took a few tries, a learning curve to using it, but it seems like at higher temperatures and a longer run time, the parts come out really nice and clean. I was really happy with this triple crankset. I've spent a lot of time cleaning cranksets before by hand. And this cleaner just makes it like magic. You put it in, wait, and it comes out clean. You do have to rinse it off with water, wipe it down a little bit with a rag, but when you get done, I mean, it's ready to go. It almost looks like a new part. And I gave another go to this cassette. I just put it in longer this time, turned the heat up a little bit, and it came out just as nice as that freewheel. It's really nice and clean. It just took a little extra to do it. I'll know next time when I put a cassette in, especially if it's as dirty as this one. And I forgot to point out that the bearing, which was frozen, now spins nicely. So even that was nicely cleaned and basically repaired. If I pack it with grease, I could use this again and it would run nice and true. So overall, I'm quite impressed. I mean, this is a big unit. You can buy smaller ones, but with this size unit, you could put the whole drivetrain in there. Crankset, cassette, chain, put it in there, wait, take it out, spray it off with some water, and your drivetrain will be almost as good as new in terms of condition, how clean it looks. So that's a wonderful thing. It makes cleaning much easier than the old ways of doing it. And you can get a smaller one, like I mentioned, for a lot less if you're just cleaning chains, and it'll do the same job. So I think VEBOR's ultrasonic cleaner gets high marks. It's a nice unit. So let me know what you know about ultrasonic cleaners, which ones you use, how you use them, what tips you have. That'll help other people watching this video, and I appreciate it. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.